Good morning, friends. So today we will discuss about the dynamics of incompressible and inviscid flow. Incompressible means the density do not vary when the flow takes place, and inviscid means the viscosity of the fluid is negligible. Yeah, viscosity is zero. And from this analysis, we will derive the Euler equation, and from Euler equation, we will derive the Bernoulli equation. This is the today's topic. So already we have discussed about the equations, the differential equations for incompressible and inviscid flow. We can get it from the Navier-Stokes equation. If the viscosity mu will be 0, so from the Navier-Stokes equation we will get the Euler's equations. So from the NS equation, Navier-Stokes equation with mu equal to 0, the expression is this. So there is only the gravitational force, there is only pressure force. The viscous force is neglected. So that means for a inviscid fluid, the change in momentum of a fluid particle is due to the body force and the net pressure force. This we have written in terms of the uh, vector form. So we can expand this so that we will get the x momentum equation, we will get the y momentum equation, we will get the z momentum equation. Also we have the differential form of the conservation of mass or continuity equation for incompressible flow, that is del dot v equal to 0. This is the vector form. So its differential form will be del u by del x plus del v by del y plus del double by del z equal to 0. So the x momentum equation is this. So this is the unsteady part, these are the convective acceleration, and this is the body force along x-axis, and this is the pressure gradient along x-axis. Similarly the y momentum equation, similarly the z momentum equation. So when there is no fluid deformation, that means the fluid particles behave as rigid body, then also there is no viscous stresses present, because in the kinematics analysis of a fluid element we have seen that when there is no strain rate or no shearing of the flow, then the viscous forces will not come into picture, because when strain rate is 0, then from the Newton's law of viscosity the viscous forces will be 0. So either the viscosity should be 0, then it is an inviscid flow. Yeah, if there is no fluid deformation, that is the flow is a rigid body motion, then also no viscous stresses is present, even if mu is not 0. So this Euler equation is valid for both the cases. So now we will derive the Euler's equation in streamline coordinates. So consider a steady flow. So in a steady flow, path lines and streamlines are the same. So on YZ plane, we will draw the streamlines. So along any streamline, we will consider a fluid particle of dimension ds and of dimension dn. So S is along the streamline, tangent to the streamline, and n direction is the normal to the tangent to the streamlines. And this tangent makes angle beta with y-axis, yeah, horizontal plane. And the fluid particle is moving along the streamline. So we will do the analysis of this small fluid elements. So what are the different forces acting on this small fluid element? So as we have seen, the Euler's equation are valid for incompressible and inviscid flow. So if there is no viscous forces, so only the gravitational force and the pressure forces are acting on the fluid element. So if P is the pressure at the center of the streamline, at the center of the fluid element, then you can find out the pressure on the left face. You are moving in the negative direction. So by using Taylor series expansion, you can find out. Moving in the negative direction means it will be minus. So P minus del P by del S into ds by 2. So ds is the total length. So from the center to the left face, the length will be ds by 2. So ds by 2 into the area is dn into dx is the normal to yz plane. The dimension normal to the yz plane. So this is the area for the left face. And similarly on the right face, you are moving in the positive direction. So it will be plus. So again this is the Taylor series expansion, neglecting the higher order terms because ds and dn are very small. So the higher order terms are the square of ds, the square of dn, the cube of ds, the cube of dn, they will be very small. So that's why we neglect the higher order terms. Similarly, on the bottom face, you are moving in the negative direction of n, so it will be minus, and on the top face you are moving along the positive direction of the n, so it will be plus sign. So these four forces are acting on the fluid element, pressure forces basically. Along with there will be the gravitational force, that is the weight of the fluid element. So if you know the volume of the fluid element, then multiply this by the density and into g. So that will give you the weight of the fluid elements. So now we will apply the momentum equation along s direction, and we will apply the momentum equation along n direction. So it is a 2D flow. So because streamlines are valid for a 2D geometry, 2D plane only, so that's why two momentum equations we will get. So first we will write down the momentum equation along the streamline coordinates. So what are the different forces acting along the streamline? So this force towards right, this force towards left. So this minus this, and also there will be the component of the gravitational force. The gravitational force is vertical, so its component along the streamline coordinate will be sine beta, the gravitational W into sine beta, and the direction will be in the opposite direction of S. So this force minus this force minus the component of the body force along the S direction will be equal to m into a. So simply we have applied the Newton's second law, F equal to ma. So as is the acceleration along the streamline direction. So rho into volume is mass into acceleration. So F equal to ma. So doing little rearrangement, so we will get minus del P by del S minus rho g sine beta equal to rho as. So sine beta again you will get in terms of the dimensions. So sine beta will be, you see this is beta S and this is dy and this is ds. So and this vertical coordinate is dz. So sine beta equal to dz by ds. So you replace sine beta as dz by ds. So now the momentum equation along s direction becomes this. So now you have to find out what is the acceleration along the streamline direction. So along a streamline, the velocity is a function of streamline coordinates and the time. So your acceleration will be the total derivative of the velocity vector. So it is del v by del t plus v del v by del s. So it's a steady flow. So this local acceleration part will be 0, and also suppose we will neglect the body forces. So the Euler equation, this equation becomes 1 by rho del P by del S equal to minus V del V by del S. So what is the significance of this equation? We see the pressure term is positive, velocity term is negative. Yeah, if velocity will be positive, pressure will be negative. So that means for a incompressible and invisible flow, the decrease in velocity is accompanied by an increase in pressure. So if you are moving along a streamline, if there is a decrease in the velocity, so there should be increase of the pressure. So this is the relation between pressure and velocity along a streamline. So this equation we got from the momentum equation along a streamline coordinates. Now we will apply the momentum equation, Newton's second law in normal direction. So you take this is the upward force minus this is the downward force, as well as you will get this body force, the component of the weight acting in the downward direction along n direction is equal to, again this is mass into acceleration, but this is the acceleration in the normal direction. So do some little rearrangements, we will get this equation. So this equation cos beta again del z by del n. So put cos beta value this, so you are getting this. So what is the normal acceleration? It is also known as the centripetal acceleration. The direction of the centripetal acceleration is always toward the center of the curvature. So along the normal direction, the value will be negative because its direction is always toward the center of curvature. So your n equal to minus v square by r. R is the radius of curvature of the streamlines. So putting this value here, so the Euler equation along normal direction becomes this. So if it's a horizontal plane, then this z coordinate will be, there is no variation of the z coordinate, so 1 by rho del P by del n equal to v square by r. So what is the significance of this equation? This is the momentum equation along the normal direction to a streamline. So we see that the pressure increases in the direction outward from the center of curvature of the streamlines. That means if you are moving along the normal direction, the pressure increases. And one more important conclusion we will get from this. So if the streamlines are straight streamlines, suppose in case of a pipe flow, horizontal pipe, so in a horizontal pipe we are expecting the straight streamlines. So if the streamlines are straight, then what will happen? The radius of curvature will be infinite. So this right hand term will be 0. So del P by del n equal to 0. So there is no pressure variation along the normal direction to a streamline. So this simple concept is used to measure the static pressure in a pipe flow. We are making small holes and we are inserting the manometers to measure the static pressure. Why? Using this simple concept. So we make a small hole which is perpendicular to the surface of the pipe. Then if flow takes place through that small hole, then what will happen? You are moving along the normal direction, and as per this equation, there is no pressure variation along that direction. So you attach a manometer and that will give you the static pressure of the flow. So we got the momentum equation along a streamline coordinate and we got the momentum equation along a normal direction of a streamline. So now from the Euler, so they are the Euler equations. Two Euler equations we got, but to get the Bernoulli equation, we need only the integration of the Euler's equation along a streamline for a steady flow. So out of the two Euler equations, we have to integrate the equation along a streamline, the first equation. So you integrate that. This is the Euler equation along a streamline. Integrate this. So you will get the Bernoulli's equation. So you see there is del P by del S, there is del Z by del S, there is del V by del S. If I will multiply the whole equation by ds, as it is a steady flow, your P, Z, V all are functions of S only, because this is not a function of T, because it's a steady flow. So if I will multiply the equation by ds, so del P by del S into ds will be what? It is dP, the total derivative. Similarly, del Z by del S into ds will be dz. Del V by del S into ds will be dV. So now from this equation I will get, by multiplying by ds, I will get minus dP by rho minus g dz equal to v dV. Now you integrate this. Integration of dP by rho plus v square by 2 plus gz equal to constant. So this equation is known as Bernoulli's equation. Now if you will put one more constant, restriction, the flow to be incompressible, then your density is constant. So your density comes out of the integration. So the Bernoulli's equation becomes this: P by rho plus v square by 2 plus gz equal to constant. So if I want to express all the terms as head, the unit of meter, yeah, length scale, in the unit of length scale, then it will be P by rho g plus v square by 2g plus z. So divide whole by g. So this is in the unit of length, this is also in the unit of length, this is also unit of length. So they known as head. So this is contains pressure, so this is known as pressure head. This contains the velocity, so this is known as kinetic head, and this contains the potential energy. So yeah, elevation. So that is why this is known as potential head. So basically pressure energy, kinetic energy as well as the potential energy, summation of all these three energies remains constant. Though you have derived this equation from the momentum equation, but still you are getting the conclusion like this: summation of all forms of energy for a fluid flow at different locations remains constant. So this is a simple form and is known as the Bernoulli's equation. But the restrictions are, it must be, you have to keep this in mind. You cannot apply haphazardly anywhere, wherever you want. So the restrictions are: the flow must be steady flow, the flow must be incompressible flow, the flow must be frictionless flow, and the flow should be along a streamline. And this can be used to explain the lift in aeroplane wing, because in an aeroplane wing, on the top surface the velocity is more, so the pressure decreases as per the Bernoulli's equation. On the bottom surface velocity is less, so pressure is more, so there is pressure difference is created on the bottom surface and the top surface, which will give rise to a lift force. But this equation cannot be used to explain the pressure drop in horizontal constant diameter pipe flow. If the diameter of a horizontal pipe is constant and the flow takes place in the pipe, then this cannot be applied, because in this case pressure equal to constant, velocity is constant. So the pressure inversely proportional to velocity is not valid in this case. So this cannot be used to explain the flow in case of a horizontal constant diameter pipe. So basically the Bernoulli's equation gives the relationship between pressure and velocity with these following four constants. This should be kept in mind. So this equation along with the continuity equation can be used to solve many problems. So continuity equation already we have discussed, the integral analysis of a continuity equation. So summation of the flow rates will be equal to 0 if there is only one inlet, there is only one outlet, so A1 B1 equal to A to B2. So pressure P in the Bernoulli's equation is the thermodynamic pressure, yeah, commonly known as a static pressure. That should be kept in mind. So now we will discuss the static pressure, what is static pressure, what is a stagnation pressure, and what is a dynamic pressure. So static pressure is the pressure experienced by the fluid particles as it moves. So if we will move along with the fluid particles, then the pressure experienced will be the static pressure. So how to measure this? So already from the momentum equation along the normal direction I have explained. So if it's a pipe flow, then the streamlines are straight lines. So in case of a straight line, radius of curvature is infinite, so there is no pressure variation along the normal direction. So we make a small hole for the pressure tap and we attach a manometer, and that will give you the static pressure. And the stagnation pressure will be obtained when a flowing fluid is brought to rest by a frictionless process. So if you insert a mechanism like this to a fluid flow, so it's a known as pitot tube. Okay, so this portion of the pitot tube is along the flow direction, and there is a small hole through which the fluid enters, and the other part is attached to the manometer to get the reading. So what happens when the flow is in contact with this small hole? The flow velocity becomes 0. So we call that that's why the stagnation point. So you apply the Bernoulli's equation to a point far away from the stagnation point and apply Bernoulli's equation. Another point is at the stagnation point. At these 2 points, if you apply the Bernoulli's equation, then it's a horizontal point, so there is no elevation. So it's simply P naught by rho plus V naught square by 2 equal to P by rho plus V square by 2. So stagnation point V equal to 0. So P naught equal to P plus half rho V square. So this half rho V square is known as dynamic pressure. So your stagnation pressure P naught equal to static pressure plus dynamic pressure. So if you know the stagnation pressure, if you know the static pressure, then you can find out the local flow velocity from this equation. So in this way we can measure the static pressure and stagnation pressure. Suppose for a small example, so the flow takes place inside a horizontal pipe and we attached a mechanism like this. So this is the pitot tube. Okay, the direction is along the airflow, and there is a pressure tap, okay, to measure the static pressure, and both are attached. So there will be some difference of the manometric fluid, which is mercury. So in this arrangement you will get the difference of the stagnation pressure and static pressure. So simple. Okay, you apply the Bernoulli's equation between 2 points far away from the stagnation point, and at the stagnation point you will get the local flow velocity, and this H gives you the pressure difference in terms of head. So the pressure difference will be this head into G into density of the manometric fluid, which is mercury. So give you the pressure difference. Suppose if you want to measure the static pressure and the stagnation pressure separately, then these two tubes should not be connected. This should be different and this should be different. So take readings from both separately, then you subtract it. But this equipment works for incompressible flow, and incompressible flow means density will not change. So if the Mach number is less than 0.3, this is the criteria. Mach number means the flow velocity divided by the sonic velocity. is less than 0.3. This corresponds to the flow velocity approximately 100 meter per second. So the flow velocity should be less than 100 meter per second. Then this equipment works, and we can measure the static pressure and we can measure the stagnation pressure. So this is all about the Bernoulli's equation we can use to solve variety of problems. But the restrictions should be kept in mind. That is flow steady, incompressible, and inviscid, and the flow should be along a streamline. As it is derived by integrating Newton's second law for a fluid particle, so it can be only applied in any inertial reference frame. Means the reference frame should be at rest or should be moving with constant velocity. So we can apply Bernoulli's equation for a flow through nozzle, flow through a siphon, flow under a sluice gate, but we should not apply Bernoulli's equation to the machines, turbo machines such as propeller, pump, turbine or windmill. This should be kept in mind. So now we will interpret Bernoulli's equation as energy equation, because in the expression for the Bernoulli's equation we see that summation of all forms of energy is constant. So though we have derived that from the momentum equation, but it seems that it is a conservation of energy form. So similar form can be obtained from the first law of thermodynamics also, but the restrictions will be different. So let's try to derive the Bernoulli's equation from first law of thermodynamics. So consider a control volume bounded by streamlines. So two consecutive streamlines, you create a control volume bounding two streamlines. So this is known as a stream tube. So the flow enters and the flow leaves. And consider a steady flow in the absence of shear forces, and we can apply the steady flow energy equation. So from thermodynamics we see that the steady flow energy equation is the heat transfer minus work transfer is equal to rate of change of internal energy, but this is applied to a system, thermodynamic system. As we are analyzing a control volume, so rate of change of energy for the system should be converted to a control volume expression. So we can use the Reynolds transport theorem to write the rate of change of energy for a system to its form in the control volume. So this is for the control volume. So heat transfer minus work transfer is rate of change of energy for the system, and that we have written in this expression by using the Reynolds transport theorem. So it is del by del T integration E rho V, this is for the volumetric integral, control volume, and integration of E plus PV into rho V dot dA, and this is the control surface. So here is N equal to, in the Reynolds transport theorem, N equal to the total energy. So your E is the small e is the eta, the intensive property. So if the specific energy is summation of internal energy U plus kinetic energy plus potential energy. So there is no work transfer. Suppose this is one more restriction, and also steady flow means this term is 0. So you do some rearrangement. There is only one inlet, so you will get one expression from this, and there is one outlet, so another expression from this, plus heat transfer. But keep in mind, this is the dot product, so outward normal vector and the velocity vector. If they are in the same direction, you will get positive quantity, so basically for the outflow. And if the outward normal to the control surface is in the opposite direction of the velocity vector, you will get a negative quantity, this. So generally for the inlet flow. So you simplifying this, you will get this expression. And from the continuity equation, we got this. So minus rho 1 v1 a1 plus rho 2 v2 a2 equal to 0. So they are nothing but the mass flow rates. And also we can write down the rate of heat transfer in terms of heat transfer for unit mass, like this. So rate of heat transfer is heat transfer by time. So heat transfer by mass into mass by time. So this is nothing but rate of mass flow. So your q dot equal to m dot into del q by del m. So put these expressions in the energy equation and simplify, you will get this. So after rearrangement, you will get this expression. So for an incompressible flow, your v1 v2, so small v's are the specific volumes, means volume per unit mass. So its reciprocal will be the density. So basically if there is no volume change, and for an incompressible flow, so volume does not change, so we can write down small v1 and v2 as the reciprocal of the density. So your this term and this term I can write down using the density, p1 by rho plus v1 square by 2 plus gz1 equal to p2 by rho plus v2 square by 2 plus gz2 plus this additional term. So this you see, this is also similar to your Bernoulli's equation, but only additional term is this. So one more restriction if you will impose to the flow, then it becomes exactly similar to the Bernoulli's equation. So u2 minus u1 minus del q by del m should be 0. So if this term is 0, the energy equation reduces to this. So your this is nothing but the Bernoulli's equation. So we have derived the Bernoulli's equation from the using Newton's second law, and also we have derived the Bernoulli's equation from the energy equation, the first law of thermodynamics. Now interpretation of the both forms. So the Bernoulli's equation derived from momentum equation is valid for steady incompressible frictionless flow, and the flow should be along a streamline. These are the constants. If these constants are satisfied, then you can apply Bernoulli's equation for a fluid flow problem. And also the same Bernoulli's equation you can also apply for a thermodynamics problem, providing these constants are satisfied, these restrictions are maintained. So there is no work transfer, any form of work, no shaft work, no shear work, no other work, and the flow should be steady flow, and the properties are uniform. It's a uniform flow at each section, and also it's an incompressible flow, and there is no heat transfer, and there is no change of internal energy. So under these 7 constants, the Bernoulli's equation can be applied to a thermodynamics problem. So you can apply Bernoulli's equation to a fluid problem, as well as you can apply Bernoulli's equation to a thermodynamics problem. So thanks. This is all about the Euler equation and Bernoulli's equation. Thanks for watching this video. If you like, then subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more updates and to get more videos on the fluid mechanics and heat transfer. Thank you.